Take a look at what's called Review 1 for Chapter 6. It is available under the Review for a Test. There are 20 questions on the review. There will be 20 questions on the test. There are 15 which simply ask you to factor, and there will be exactly the same on the test. They will not necessarily come in the same order. So don't think, oh, okay, number 5 is going to be the difference of squares, okay, because they will come in a different order. When you take the test tomorrow, you'll need to think about what works best for you. You may be the kind of person that likes to start with question 1, analyze, do it, go to 2, analyze, do it, and so on. 1, 2, 3. Or you might choose to do all the binomials first, and then do all the trinomials next, and then do the grouping questions last. So it is totally up to you how you decide to attack the factoring questions. I'm going to start with 1 and go through them. All right, question number 1. I'm supposed to factor completely, and I'm supposed to write prime if it can't be factored. I will tell you during the test tomorrow how many primes there will be. Well, and I'll just tell you right now, there will only be one. There will be one prime. All right, number 1 on this is 6x squared. Oh, I changed the variable. I'm sorry. It's z. 6z squared plus 5z minus 6. Now, please notice we've just been working with a lot of equations to solve. This is not an equation to solve. This is a factoring expression. So there's no equal sign. So first thing I do, greatest common factor. Is there one? No. The next thing I do is notice that it is a trinomial, so I'm going to go with trial and error. The last sign is a minus, which means that I get 1 plus and 1 minus. Okay? Now, I know I'm going to need a z and a z, but to get the 6, it might be 1 times 6, and it might be 2 times 3. To get this 6 as a constant, it might be 1 times 6, and it might be 2 times 3. This is definitely a trial and error question. So, somebody want to just make a guess, and I'll write it down. You want me to start with 1 and 6 or 2 and 3?
2 and 3.
2 and 3, okay? 2 and 3. Now, I'm starting here. Over on for the constant, do you want me to start with 1 and 6 or 2 and 3? Somebody said 2 and 3, so I'll put 2 and 3. Now, what I need to do is make sure that I check for my outers and inners. My outer product is negative 6z. My inner product is 6z, which gives me a 0 middle term, but I have 5. So that's not right. Before I give up on this 2 and 3, though, I'm going to reverse them. I always like to reverse them before I give up on them. Now, my outer product is negative 4z. My inner product is 9z, and those have a difference of 5z. And I actually saw somebody smile. Okay, this is supposed to make you feel just a little bit good when you get the right choices. So, on the test in class tomorrow, you will have an answer sheet and you will copy just these 2 factors. Okay? But you can take all the room you want to write it and check it and so on. All right, question number 2. On the review, it is to factor x squared plus 8x minus 48. All right, is there a common factor? No, it is a trinomial, so I'll go with trial and error. The last sign is negative, which means 1 of each. Luckily, this time, I am leading with just an x squared, so I know it's x and x. That means this one should be easier. I don't expect to error. 48. Well, let's see. I need a difference of 8. My outers and inners have different signs, so I'm looking for a difference of 8. 1 times 48 won't work. 2 times 24, that won't work. 3 goes in there 16 times. Is 3 times 16 going to work? No. 4 goes in there 12 times. Do 4 and 12 have a difference of 8? Yes. Because I want it to be a positive 8, I want the big number with the positive. So I'll put the 12 and I'll put the 4. Double check it because I want to make 100. Outer product is negative 4x. The inner product is 12x, which does give me positive 8x. So please check yours, even if you just check them mentally. Number 3. I have 18y squared plus 81y minus 45. And at first I'm thinking, well, gosh, those are big numbers. I don't want to mess with that. But I'm hoping for a common factor. 18, 81, 45. 9. 9 is a common factor. So if I factor out the 9, it is like dividing by 9. That gives me 2y squared plus 9y minus 5. I still have numbers that aren't ones, but they're not too bad. Now, please don't lose the 9. It is a factor. If you don't write it down, then you've lost part of the answer. Okay, parentheses. Tell me about the signs. One of each. When the last sign is negative, you always get one of each. Now, 2y squared. 2 is a prime number. You don't have any choices. It's got to be a 2y and a 1y. Now 5 is a prime number. It's got to be a 1 and a 5. But it does depend where I put them. So if I put the 1 there and the 5 there, let's check. The outer product is negative 10y. The inner product is positive 1y. What does that give you for a middle term? Negative 9y, which is almost right. What do I need to change? I just need to change the signs. Make that be a minus and that a plus. You could have moved some, well, that's the best way to fix it. If you get the right number with the wrong sign for the middle term, then just swap the signs. When you write that answer on an answer sheet, you should have 9 parentheses, 2y minus 1, parentheses, y plus 5. If you leave off the 9, you don't have all the factors. Now, I will try to look back at your work, and that's a reason that your work should be numbered. And it really should be reasonably organized. I don't mind if you go in a different order, but I have never understood why people decide that they will write on their paper kind of like this for a little while, then they'll write this way, and then upside down, and over here, and this one there. And I'm like, how did that help anything? I can't find anything, and I don't know how you did either. So maybe just, kind of the top-down format might work for all of us. Just an idea. Oh, it would be okay if you had the 1. I wouldn't count off for it, but coefficients of 1 are not usually written. All right, number 4. I have x to the third minus x squared minus 6x. Is there a common factor? X. So I'm going to divide out an x, and that will leave me with x to the second minus x minus 6. And that looks like a trinomial that perhaps we can factor further. Don't lose your common factor of x. What about the signs? 1 plus, 1 minus. I need an x and an x to get my x squared. I need factors of 6 that have a difference of 1. So is it 1 times 6 or 2 times 3? 2 times 3. I want the middle term to be negative, so I'll put the bigger number 3 with the negative. check that. It will check, and you need all of that written down, bless you, to get credit. All right, problem number 5. I have 36x squared minus 49. The instructions are still factor. Is there a common factor between 36 and 49? No. It's a binomial. We know 3 kinds of binomials. Which one is it? It's a difference of squares. The difference of squares factors into the sum and the difference of the square roots. So what will go in the first positions? 6x. And what will go in the last positions? 7. And those will check. You did get a sum and difference product. Problem number 6 is not going to be a lot of fun to copy. It is 32 x to the 6th, y to the 9th, minus 144 x to the 4th, y to the 7th, minus 144 x to the 2nd, y to the 3rd. All right. Is there a common factor? I hope so. All right. What is the largest thing that will go into all of those? And what I should be seeing is people playing with their calculators. Okay, now you may not have yours sitting there, but you're certainly going to want it on test time. So you're sitting there testing. Yes, they're all divisible by 2. Yes, they're all divisible by 4. Yes, they're all divisible by 8. Yes, they're all divisible by 16. No, they're not all divisible by 32. Okay, so that might have been your process, or you might have jumped straight to something big. I don't know. 16 is the greatest common factor of the numbers. What about x's? X to the 2nd and y to the 3rd. And you know that because you have to take the low power. All right, if I divide each of these by 16x squared y to the 3rd, 16x squared y to the 3rd, 16x squared y to the 3rd. For the first one, 32 divided by 16 is 2. What do you do with the exponents of your like bases? Subtract. So you'll get x to the 4th, y to the 6th, minus 144 divided by 16 is, I think it's 9. Do the quotient rule with your variables. X to the 2nd, y to the 4th, minus 144 divided by 16 is still 9, but the x squareds and the y to the 3rds divide out, leaving 1s, but those 1s don't change anything, so I close the parentheses. Now we've gotten pretty used to factoring out the greatest common factor and then working on the trinomial further. But look at this trinomial. Is this what our trinomials have looked like? X to the 4th, y to the 6th as a leading term? Not at all. So I am satisfied that I am not going to be able to go any further with this problem. This was a problem from section 6.1 on greatest common factor, and that's all it is. We did not have any trinomials to do by trial and error that were anything like this. So I can't go any further. Just greatest common factor. Questions? Okay.
Sometimes you have the greatest common factor, do you still have to break it down a little more?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, if I went back to number 4, there was a greatest common factor of x, and then I could do more. But look at that pattern. It's x squared, something x, and a constant. Up here, I had a greatest common factor of 9, But then look at this. It was something y squared, something y constant. I'm used to working on that pattern. I'm not used to working on anything that looks like this, and I can't.
So is that a prime?
The factor is prime, but the problem is not prime, because if you can do even one step of factoring, then it wasn't prime. But your goal is for whatever you finish with to be prime. Yes. All right, number 7. I have 4x squared minus 24x plus 32. First question, is there a common factor? And you see a 4, okay? If I divide by 4, divide by 4, divide by 4. That will give me x squared minus 6x plus 8. Does this trinomial look like something I should be able to factor further? Yes. So don't lose the 4. And here we go with trial and error. If the last sign is positive, what does that tell you? Both signs are negative. They both match the middle term. So I have x and an x. I need factors of 8, which, because these signs are the same, add up to be negative 6. So is it 1 and 8? No. Is it 2 and 4? Yes. It does not matter where you put the 2 or where you put the 4. Your answer should have the 4, that's the common factor. Somewhere you should have an x minus 2, and somewhere you should have an x minus 4. Okay? Number 8. I have 15a to the third plus 10a squared b minus 18ab squared minus 12b to the third. And the first thing I think when I look at this is I start thinking about a common factor, and I'm sorry I'm moving that around so much, trying to get it at the top. 15, 10, 18, and 12 do not share a common factor. They don't all have A's, and they don't all have B's. So there's not a common factor. But I notice there are 4 terms. So I'm going to try to group the first 2 and group the second 2. The first 2. Just looking at the first 2, do you see a common factor?
Yes.
Okay. Do you see a 5? They both have A's. I can take actually an A to the second. So I'm going to divide 5a to the second into each of those. 15a cubed divided by 5a squared, it's going to go in there 3 times with a single a left over. Then 10 divided by 5 is 2. The a squareds divide out, and you have a b. So I have 5a squared times 3a plus 2b. All right, I want to just ignore that first part now, looking at the second part. My first term is negative 18. Immediately, I know that I need to factor out a negative common factor. And it went away, okay? So that sign's always going to come straight down. Now, what will go into both 18 and 12? 3 will, but 6 is bigger, and it will. So I want to take out the 6. And is there a common variable? B squared. So I'm going to divide by negative 6b squared, negative 6b squared. Negative divided by negative gives me positive 3a. Negative 12 divided by negative 6 gives me positive 2, and there will be a b left over. Can you tell that we are doing this problem correctly? Look at your binomial. Do you have a common binomial?
Yeah.
So that tells you right away that you've done all the things right. I like to write it down first. 3a plus 2b, close parentheses, times, what's the leftover factor? 5a squared minus 6b squared. And that's my answer. I could check that with FOIL, and I will get the 4 terms that are listed at the top, but they might not come in the same order, but that doesn't matter. All right, that's number 8. Number 9. I have xy plus y plus 3x plus 3. Is there a common factor to all the terms? No. There are 4 terms, though, so I immediately think grouping. Now, it is just a coincidence that the 2 grouping problems came together on the review. They won't necessarily come in this order on the test. So what's the common factor in the first group? Y. So if I factor out the y, what will that leave me with? X plus a 1. Don't lose the 1. I'm going to keep this sign, whatever it is, and it's a plus sign. And what's the common factor in the second group? 3. And if I divide by 3, x plus 1. And I know that I must be doing this right because I got a common binomial factor. So I'm going to write down x plus 1 times other factor, y plus 3. We okay? All right, number 10. I have x to the third minus 27. Is there a common factor? No. It is a binomial. We have 3 kinds of binomials we know how to factor. Difference of squares? Nope. Sum or difference of cubes? Yes, it's the difference of cubes. When we factor either the sum or the difference of cubes, we have a small parentheses and a large one for the binomial and the trinomial. In the binomial, cube roots. What's the cube root of x to the third? X. Keep the sign. What's the cube root of 27? It is 3. Because 3 times 3 times 3 gives you 27. And once again, if you need me to talk to you individually about how to find a cube root on your calculator, I'll be glad to. You build the trinomial by saying square, change the sign, product, square. Square the first one for x squared. Change the sign for plus. Product is 3x. Square the last one for 9, and you're done. With the difference of squares, or the sum or difference of cubes, first you have to recognize that it is one of those, then you have to remember the pattern. Number 11 is 8p cubed plus 1. Is there a common factor? No. It's a binomial. What kind of binomial is it? It's a sum of cubes. So I need a binomial times a trinomial. What's the cube root of 8p to the third? 2p. Keep the plus sign. What's the cube root of 1? 1. To build the trinomial, I need square, change the sign, product, square. 2p times 2p is 4p squared. Make sure you square the 2 and the p. Change the sign, minus, product, 2p, square the last one, 1. Done.
Where do you get the 2 from?
The product. Okay, for this one, it was 2p squared, which is 4p squared. For this was change the sign, so it went from a plus to a minus. For this one, you multiply this quantity times this quantity. 2p times 1 is 2p. And then to get the last one, you take the 1 and you square it. So it is square change sign, product, square.
So you're not looking for no factors in this one?
No,
Oh,
I mean, you actually just found the factors, but you're unaware of it. You're not feeling like the trial and error at all. If you were to multiply this out by the distributive property, it would work. It's a pattern to memorize. Number 12. I have 4x squared minus 81y squared. Okay. Is there a common factor? Do 4 and 81 have anything in common? No. It's a binomial. What kind is it? It's a difference of squares. The difference of squares always factors into a plus and a minus of their square roots. What's the square root of 4x squared? 2x. And what's the square root of 81y squared? 9y. And those are the factors. Check it with FOIL. The difference of squares, the sum and difference of cubes, require some memorization. Not trying and erroring, just memorization. Number 13. I have x squared plus 12x plus 27. Is there a common factor? No, it's a trinomial, so I go to trial and error. The last sign is positive, which means both are pluses. To get an x squared, all I need is an x and an x. I need factors of 27 that add up to be 12. Right, it can't be 1 and 27, but it is 3 and 9. Double check it. Done. Number 14. I have x squared plus 32x plus 256. Now, this one could be considered kind of tough because of the size of the number, 256. It's kind of big. So we'll just whittle down on it. There's no common factor. It's a trinomial. Tell me about the signs. Both positive. All right. The outers plus the inner products must add up to be 32. So 1 times 256 definitely does not give me 30. That gives me 256, but they don't add to be 32. 2 times 128. No. 3 doesn't go into it, but 4 does, and it goes in there 64 times, but those don't add up to be 32. 5 doesn't go in there, 6 doesn't go in there, 8 does, and 8 goes in there 32 times, but those don't add up to be 32. All right. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16 is the next one that goes in there. And 16 goes in there 16 times. Do those add up to be 32? Okay. Now, what would have been really nice is if you had been tortured like I was tortured when I was young to memorize perfect squares. And so I already knew that 256 was 16 times 16. You may not have had that torture experience. So you may not have recognized that, but we got to it anyway. It did pay off, yes. I used to have to sit at the kitchen table and get multiplication facts thrown at me. Well, not literally thrown, but verbally thrown. And they were kind of loud and they were kind of scary sounding, and I hated those times. My sister was so good at it, and all I did was get nervous. But I learned those multiplication facts because if I could just prove I knew them, we didn't have any more torture sessions. It wasn't really torture, but I didn't like it. All right, 15. I have x squared minus 25x plus 625. Alrighty, another even bigger number, but actually it doesn't have as many factors. All right, no common factor, trial and error. Tell me about the signs. Both minus, x and x, so this shouldn't be too bad. All right, I need the outer plus the inner product should add up to be 25. So 1 times 625 won't do. The next number that's going to go in there is 5. And it's 5 times 125. And those don't add up to be 25. Okay? It's how much? Well, 5 times 5 will give me 25. It won't give me 6. It's 25 times 25. Yeah, that was the biggest one I ever had to memorize. It was 25 times 25 gave me 625. There aren't any more factors. Those are all of them. Do any of those add up to be negative 25? Oh, guess what? We just found our prime. Remember I told you there would be a prime? Yes, ma'am.
If you were to do that 25 times 25 is 625, and it you didn't get the middle term, would you already know it's prime, or do you need it?
Well, it depends. If you recognized that 25 times 25, giving you 625, would give you the smallest possible middle term, and it still wasn't small enough, then yes, you could stop and say, so I know it's prime. Okay? So tomorrow's test will also have one prime. Don't count on it being number 15, because I don't expect it to be. But if you're working through the test and you get a prime, and then you're working, and then you get a second prime, guess what? One of them's wrong. There's one prime, and there's only one prime. Okay. Moving on the review, I'm going all the way back up. Oh, I didn't need to do that. I go back to the sheet. I have just moved to number 16, and the instructions change. It says, solve the equation. We just got to section 6.6 as far as the test is concerned. So, the instructions change. That means that now I'm going to make sure it's set equal to 0, and I'm going to find my values for x. Number 16. I have x squared minus 6x is equal to 55. This is a quadratic equation, but it is not yet equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract 55 from both sides, and I have x squared minus 6x minus 55 is equal to 0. And I am hoping now to be able to find the values of x by factoring. There's no common factor. Tell me about the signs. One of each. I need an x and an x. I need factors of 55 that, because the signs are different, have a difference of 6. So is it 1 times 55? No. Is it 5 times 11? Yes. So I'm going to put the 11 in the negative spot and the 5 in the positive spot. That will give me a middle term of negative 6x. I'm not through in this because it says solve the equation problem. Using the zero factor property, that means that x plus 5 is equal to 0, or x minus 11 is equal to 0. X is either negative 5 or x is positive 11. So I solved each of those little equations and got my two values. Don't throw your negatives away because it isn't an application problem, it's just solving for numbers. Is that okay? 17. I have x squared minus 2x is equal to 0. It is a quadratic equation. It is already set equal to 0. I'm ready to factor. Looking at the left-hand side, is there a common factor? Yes, and it is x. Now, The only way that I think people are going to potentially get confused on the test is if they don't hear the questions in their head. Because when I asked you, is there a common factor, you immediately said yes. The issue is you've got to hear yourself say, is there a common factor? So ask yourself the questions. You'll know the answers if you just know the questions. All right. X goes into x squared x times, x goes into 2x 2 times, and that's all I can do for factoring. Zero factor property, either x is 0 or x minus 2 is 0. X equals 0 is an answer. What's the other answer? X equals positive 2. Okay. Number 18.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How did you get on the answer x equals -5? How did you get -5 out of that?
Okay. What I did was I solved for x, so I subtracted 5.
Okay.
Okay?
That's like keeping. Okay.
All right, so now to 18. And I do want you to do things like that. If you don't know where I went from one step to another, no matter what, ask me, and I'll answer the question. All right, so I have x squared minus 3x minus 18 is equal to 0. Number 18 is a quadratic equation. It is set equal to 0. We're ready to start factoring. What are my signs going to be? One of each. I need an x and an x. I need factors of 18 that have a difference of 3. So it can't be 1 and 18. It can't be 2 and 9. But how about 3 and 6? Yes. And I'll put the 6 with the negative, the 3 with the positive. Because this is an equation, I continue. That means that x plus 3 equals 0 or x minus 6 equals 0. I will subtract 3 from both sides and get x is -3. I'll add 6 to both sides and get x is 6. We're down to 2 word problems. Number 19. Now I'm going to read it out loud. I hope that you have a copy of the review. It says, a window washer accidentally drops a bucket from the top of a 400-foot building. The height h of the bucket after t seconds is given by h is equal to -16 t squared plus 400. This is one of those height problems. The question, when will the bucket hit the ground? When the bucket hits the ground, what is the height? 0. Hits the ground. Tells you to let h become 0. 0 is equal to -16 t squared plus 400. There is no middle term because he didn't throw the bucket down. He just dropped it. All right, I need to factor this. My 0 happens to be on my left-hand side this time. Shouldn't make any difference to us. Common factor. Do you see a common factor? Okay. 2 will work. 4 will work. 8 will work. Keep going. 16 will work because you need the greatest. So I will take out -16. Why negative? First term was negative. So I'll divide both of those by -16. That will give me t squared. 400 divided by -16 gives me -25. So 0 is equal to, I'll keep my -16. Tell me what you recognize about this binomial t squared minus 25. It's the difference of squares. So it will factor into a sum and difference product, t plus 5 times t minus 5. All right, I'm using the zero factor property. Can negative 16 equal 0? No, so that's not possible. T plus 5 could equal 0, or t minus 5 could equal 0. For the first one, if I subtract 5 from both sides, I get t is negative 5. Can the bucket hit the ground 5 seconds before it was even dropped? No, negative time we're not going to deal with. The last one, if I add 5 to both sides, I get t is 5. I'm sorry, it's getting cranky. And can the bucket drop and hit the ground after 5 seconds? Yes, that's a reasonable answer. One more. And then I have a couple of comments about getting ready for the test. Number 20. We have a quadrilateral, and I'm going to draw a sloppy version of the quadrilateral. And it is labeled with x plus 2, 2x plus 1, x squared minus 3x, and x minus 5. You are told that the perimeter is 88, and you're asked to find the lengths of the sides. How can you write an equation? What does perimeter mean? The sum of all the sides. Add them all up, and it equals 88. Doesn't matter what you start with. So I'm going to have x minus 5 plus x plus 2 plus 2x plus 1 plus x squared minus 3x equals 88. You did not have to go in that order, but I started over here on the left side, and I just went clockwise around the figure. All right, it is quadratic. I think I would like to clean it up a little bit. I'm going to write my x squared term first. So I've taken care of that one. Now for the x's. I have x, and x is 2x, plus 2x is 4x, minus 3x is 1x, and it's positive. Constants, I have minus 5, plus 2, and plus 1. So what do I end up with? Minus 2. And that equals 88. I need my quadratic equal to what? 0. So I'm going to subtract 88. And I have x squared plus x minus 90 is equal to 0. No common factor. Look at my trial and error. Signs. 1 plus, 1 minus, x and x. I need factors of 90 with a difference of 1. 9 and 10. Now, you could go through 1 and 90. Nope. 2 and 45. Nope. 3 and 30. Nope. 4 doesn't go into it. 5 goes in there how many times? 18 times. 6 goes in there 15 times. I'm about to get to it. And 9 goes in there 10 times. But a lot of people just come up with it. But if you didn't, you have to figure out all the combinations. So I'll put my 10 and my 9. That means that x plus 10 could equal 0, or x minus 9 could equal 0. This one, subtract 10. X is negative 10, or add 9. X is positive 9. But I haven't answered the question yet. because it said find the lengths of the sides. So I'm going to write down the sides are x minus 5, x plus 2, 2x plus 1, and x squared minus 3x. If x is negative 10, what is the length of the first side?
Real quick,
Yes.
does it matter which number you put by the side?
It does. Okay, because you want to get a middle term of a plus 1x. So I had to put the big one, the 10, with the plus. And you would find out if you had them right if you check it with FOIL. Okay, is it, when I put negative 10 in for x, what do I get for the first side? Negative 15. Is that okay for the length of a side? No. So I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to say, never mind, x can't be negative 10 because it begins to give me negative lengths. If x is 9, 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 plus 2 is 11. 2 times 9 plus 1 is 19. And 9 squared minus 3 times 9 is 81 minus 27, which is 54.
So are you substituting those 9 for the x?
Yes, I am. I substituted 9 in here, 9 in here, 9 in here, and 9 in here, and here. I tried to do it with negative 10, but it gave me a negative side, so I stopped. Okay? The only other kind of word problem that I seem to have focused on was that one about the sum of the squares. So perhaps you would want to focus on that, and I'll give you another one to practice. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. You might want to do the additional review as well.